Good morning, everyone. We are online with guests, as you see. I am Vania from the theater company L'Albero that is part of this project, this Boarding Pass Plus, led by Orchestra Senzaspine in Bologna and with Visioni Creative from Udine. We are made this creative classroom, so we invite people that inspire other cultural operators around Italy and today in Europe. We are lucky. We have two guests from Kaunas2022, Stefanija Paulaukaitè, the Cultural Partnership Program Curator, and Greta Klimavičiūtė, Community Program Curator. So, and we have Carlo Ferretti, a researcher from Matera Hub that helped the project of Silent City, one of the official events of Matera 2019, was a community opera. So as you can understand, we will talk about community, culture, and projects. So how community can be the center of a project, especially in a European capital of culture, but in general, in the new world that we are now, and how the community can really make difference in a cultural creative production and a cultural project. So we will start to present the case studies of silent cities because this project involve all the partnership of this new project, Culture Boarding Pass. So we, as project leader of Matera 2019, we develop a community opera entirely written and designed and imagined by community, especially two communities, elderly people and children. So I will ask to Carlo to share our presentation and understand how this project for us was really an opportunity to experiment a new format for the co-creation of a contemporary opera with the involvement of the communities. The photo that you see is the Orchestra Senzaspine, our partner that share the possibility to feel the music, to direct and conduct the music. And for us, this photo is very important because share the feeling of the opera. As you can see, there are two generations with the music, three generations. So a parent, a musician, an artist, and a kids. So how this kind of project can be not only a creative project, but a way, a place for generate cultural welfare or generative welfare. So please, Carlo, go to the next. We will see. So you see the community involved in this project. So better, as I told, elderly people and kids, because Matera has this amazing story of past and present. So the kids of the 50 are now the elderly people that you can see, and the kids of today, of 2019, are part of this story. And basically, we develop a project where the community works really with the artists, and artist works like a facilitator of communities in European dimension. So how an artist coming from UK can really work with elderly people in a creative way and in a very complex form of art. Language of the opera is really a complex cultural project, and how they work together was part of the beauty of this project. Next, Carlo. So this was for us very important to try to put the budget on the process and not only in the production, because this long process with the communities really developed the ownership of the project. And so the idea of the European Capital of Culture is really try to have an impact on the cultural in the way that the community lives with culture and how the culture impacts in their life. So we developed the project in the way that all the process was really important for them, and they really create with us the cultural production. Next, Carlo. And the Silent City project has three really main focus. One is really don't lose the artistic ambition and artistic vision, because always when you think about a community project, maybe you lose this part of the artistic ambition. Our aims was very important for us, create an opera that has really a value in artistic way. So we really focus on change the management of the project, because of course you has to imagine how the management impact on the process, on the long process of the communities. And we really think about the scalability of the project, so the abilities to adapt in every context, in every city. In fact, in this moment, so in 2020, with all the difficulties of the COVID problem, but we are made a new community opera with other two communities, cultural. The cultural process in this moment is with young women in the south of Italy, and migrant and disabled women in the north of Italy. So we are just try to again redo the format of the co-creation of the opera, and for us this is very important because it's our internal legacy of the project. So in this project we decide to really involve the communities. As you can see, there are two main communities involved, kids and their family, but also we have a choir, young artists, young musician, professionists, and we decide to measure and try to monitor the impact of the project. And so one of the partners of this project was Matera Hub, that with Carlo really works with us, so side by side with artists, and try to understand how this project really maybe change some small thing in a life. Carlo, you can go for it.
Here we go. I am here. So thank you very much, first of all. I think this is a really nice opportunity to talk about the work we have done, especially because we are going to publish in the next week the results of all the process of evaluation. So today could be a small spoiler about the results that we reached during the process. So everything started like last year, because Matera Hub, which was one of the partners of the project, was involved in order to bring a methodology and trying to assess the impact. The main problem, or at least the concern that we where we should start from talking about evaluation, is like making a small frame about it, because evaluation is a really big topic, especially in the cultural sector, because every organization need or feel the necessity to understand the work that we do in our communities, especially in those projects that have a really huge involvement of people and communities through co-creation processes. And at the same time, we need to in some way communicate what we are doing. But the problem is that, as we know is that evaluation is quite difficult, because there are several methodologies, and so it's quite difficult to compare my results with yours. And of course, this is a problem not about the communication, because I have in some way the possibility to communicate what I'm doing, but it's more like how we can compare if I reach the goal that I set at the beginning, and I compare with another project. And so what's the most valuable? This is like a question that, like foundation, for example, public administration are going to wondering, and there's a big trouble in the cultural sector. So what we did is like, okay, let's try to have a methodology that we can apply this time, and at least we can apply even in the future project. In this way, we can like set a long-term process, and of course, it make it more scalable, not just the project, but even the evaluation itself. And so that's why Vania talked before about that we finished the Silent City project, but we started another like a community opera, which is another project that actually has the same way to involve the community, so through the opera. And so in this way, we have the possibility to make a comparison. And this is really important because the change, I mean, if we talk about a change, and if we talk about an impact, this is a really long process. And we cannot like just say, okay, after 3 months, I set, this evaluation process, and I gather some data about it. But, I have to compare in 1-2 years and making this comparison in order to really understand the change that I bring. So this is the big frame where we move inside. So the need of the cultural organization, I already explained, the need of communicate their impact, the need to communicate and make a dialogue with the foundation, with the public administration, with Europe itself, and even inside the cultural sector itself. So saying, this is what we are doing, this are the communities that we are involving, we are working in a good way, we are working in a bad way. The goals that we set are not really valuable maybe for our target, and so we have to reset our strategy. This is really important. I mean, it's a change, and is a change of approach to project design, to organization, to governance, to community involvement, and as a tool that L'Albero as association from the last year apply and integrate in their strategy. So what about the context? So we started the evaluation last year. I arrived, I was like an external at the beginning, and I had to understand the context. I had to in some ways set up all the things about the evaluation strategy. And so first of all, of course, we did two things. We started like working with the core management of the project in order to understand their expectation, their goals, the work that was already done, because we started evaluation, unfortunately, not at the beginning. So we had to, in some way, understand the work that was already done with the communities, and integrate a strategy, a rolling strategy, I would like to say. So during the project itself, it's understanding the context, because as Vania told you, there were different communities, and so the senior community, the young children, there were communities that were involved at the beginning, and we will see after with the results, because there are communities that were involved at the beginning and then involved at the end, and so even the engagement was different, and the results, of course, were different. So, of course, the context of Matera 2019, it is a really huge infrastructure in some way, even for evaluation goal, in some way change, the perspective. So as I told you, we started like working with the management and setting up the evaluation goals, setting up the main stakeholders, the beneficiary of the action. So all the strategy part was the first part. After that, of course, we start with a collection of data on field. This was done with observation, with focus group, with some of the communities that give us like qualitative feedback, but even like feedback about communitarian process, because you know, like gathering data with a group of people is quite different than like with single people. So even the dynamics of a group of people give you another feedback. It's a feedback itself. So we set up focus group. We did questionnaire with particular stakeholders. It was like the foundation itself, and it was the artist. And then we set up an infrastructural questionnaire that give us the possibility to compare results with the three main communities: the world, like the senior, the children, and the chorus of the Basilicata. And then, of course, we had to evaluate all the things. And right now we are writing the report with all the evaluation done. So the message here we want to share in this occasion is like to bring a culture of evaluation. And it's really important, like for a foundation, for example, but even like for single organization, to think about how I can improve what I'm doing, how I can improve the management itself, how I can improve my results, the relation with the foundations or the public administration. And evaluation is a really important tool. It's a practice that you know, step by step can be strengthened, can be powered. It can, of course, can be do better and better. So this is how the phases that I told you before, and this is how the three main goals of the evaluation. So understanding the artistic language of opera, fostering collaboration and cultural participation, and validate the role of the artists into the local communities. These three main goals were set up and choose directly from the management. And they contain sub goals. So everyone is like a container with all outcomes. And so it's the first one is the cultural goal, the second one is the social goal, and the third one is specifically on the role of the artist into the local communities. So these are the tools that we use, and I told you before. And this is, of course, the limitation. I told you before that, of course, the perfect situation is starting the evaluation with the start of the project. So like the design of the project is even the design of the evaluation. This was a limit for us because for a big part of the evaluation, we have to take just past data. So we can't like trace rolling what happened before. And the validity of the data is generally a huge problem, especially with immaterial and qualitative information. So a part of Silent City. So finally, I would like to share with you some of the results, at least like the main one. I told you before that the co-creative process was not the same for every community, and this a bit, of course, changed a bit. And there was like really huge the appearance that the community that were involved more in the co-creation have better results. And the best result, I mean, the highest value was like one of the social outcomes that we traced. It was like being part of a group. So all the community was really satisfied of feeling part of a group. So feeling inclusive. And a really high value too was the the possibility to repeat co-creative processes. So all the communities explain and say how important was being part of this process, and they feel that they want to be part of other co-creative process. The lowest value, one of the lowest value, was the satisfaction of learning. What is the meaning? The meaning is that the process was not set up for like teaching opera, was set up for including people. So when we ask this question, we would like to know, do you learn something through this process that is like an informal way of learning? And the impact was quite low. So what kind of information is this for Albero? Is an information to say, well, if we want to like make a more teaching program, maybe we have to rebuild something. Maybe we have to change a bit the strategy. So these are some of the results. Of course, I can't like spoiler everything, but in the next week the report will be finished, and we can share all the other information with. So I finished.
Thank you, Carlo.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlo, for sharing this tough work that we are happy to do it, especially because we have the opportunity to be in the ECOC family system. So how this European project that really is a challenge for every city that is involved. So I'm very happy to have here two women that lead Kaunas2022. They are in the team, and of course, like every cultural organization in the world, has been very tough manage the COVID time. But you have the chance to really think about future. So how do you imagine, and how your dreams of your captive culture are going on? And I will give you the possibility, because we talk a lot about this, and I will ask you to share your cultural program and what you are doing for the future. And maybe I just want to remind that people that are following us that we can have a space for discussion later. So if you want to have question, so please comment on the Facebook page, and I will ask to our guest the question. Thank you.
So we'll turn on
they will share the screen. We have
the technicalities.
Okay.
Okay, so can everybody
see? From Kaunas to arrive the presentation. It's
okay. So Vania,
I don't see it. I don't know. Did you share it?
Yeah, we shared.
And io non vi sento nemmeno, non so perché.
Okay, 1 second. Can you hear us?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Technical issues as always on the online events. So can you see us now?
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear and can you see? Okay, so we started the bridge between Lithuania and Italy already, right? Vania, can you see if you can hear us?
Okay. Yes, sorry, I just missed your audio for a moment, so I don't know what you asked me. Yeah. What this was the question?
Are we? Yeah. Okay. So I think we are all good. So
yeah, perfect.
Today we are here, me, Stefanija, and my colleague Greta, and we will bring you we are bringing you now to Kaunas, as we cannot travel too much at the moment. So we want to travel with you through the views and through our journey, which we are having at the moment. Kaunas at the beginning of 2017 was awarded the title of the European Capital of Culture for 2022. Together with various cultural organizations, artists, and creatives, we developed a really vast and endless program that we call the Contemporary Capital. So the entire time remaining until 2022 is a common journey of Kaunas and Kaunas districts from temporary to contemporary. So we will talk a little bit more about the European context and how we are dealing with it for the last few years through the quarantine, and how we imagine our future in this field. If somebody still doesn't know details about the European Capital of Culture, why do we have this initiative in the Europe? So here you can see some highlights why this program and the project in the European context is really important for all of us as individual countries in the European context. So this initiative is designed to celebrate the culture features European share, to highlight the richness and diversity of cultures in the Europe, of course, to increase European citizens' sense of belonging to a common cultural area, as we all proud of our local cultures, but it's really important for all of us to be together in this celebration of what we have all together as a Europe. As well, this program fosters the contribution of culture to the development of cities, and what does it bring on the end, what the legacy of these projects are. So usually the cities really experience the process of regeneration. There is usually a bigger boost of tourism and tourists. As well, the cities enjoys this experience as raising the international profile of itself. And it's a really good opportunity to enhance the image of cities in the eyes of their own inhabitants, which is super important part of this project. And talking about Kaunas, about us as a European Capital of Culture, we are going on the journey moving from temporary to contemporary. So we invite people to join us on this journey and to start a dialogue where we speak with the history and identity of our cities. And thanks to the title of the temporary capital, where we were in the period from 1919 to 1940, Kaunas became a modern European city back then. And what happens today? Today we have this huge opportunity and possibility to strive and maintain the passion of awakening a city, which is a modern, innovative, friendly to its residents and its guests. The way how we move to the contemporary capital is through the three main steps. So the whole artistic program of Kaunas2022 is a visualization of this beautiful journey from the confusion through the confluence towards the consciousness. And the program was shaped back then in 2015, which was, 4 years ago now. We shaped these programs, which talks about different parts on this journey. So in the confusion part, we have a memory office and modernism for future. So these two programs are developed to remember our history, to remember the most important aspects, to actualize what we had in the past and what are the important parts for us as individuals to bring in the future and to live it in the current moment. Then we go into the confluence, and by confluence we don't mean only the confluence of two rivers which we have in the town. We mean the confluence of people being happy, of merging different audiences. So Design for Happiness works with audience development way, where we believe that every single inhabitant have a right to participate in the cultural field. And Emerging Kaunas works with the youth of Kaunas because we believe that young people have to have a right to create the city they want to live in. So these two programs help for them to immerse the goals and the visions about the city where we want to be in the future. And when we think about the future, so our city and the district is a really conscious city, where the communities are really lively, they're really active, and they do make decisions and they empower them. And sometimes when they're not listened, they do more actions and they use the artistic and creative tools to do that. So programs We the People and Wake It Shake It works with some different communities, as Greta will explain you later more about We the People Fluxus Labus program working the local community in the city and the district, and Wake It Shake It works with the cultural organizations community, with the people who work in the professional cultural field, but sometimes they don't communicate between each other, in this way missing up some parts of development. And then we have two general programs which are called Tempo Academy of Culture. So this is the one where we believe that learning and education is a key to success to become happy and professional and moving forward. So Tempo Academy really layers all the programs. And the Mythical Beast of Kaunas is the program devoted to creating the common narrative of the town and district. So we are creating the one story of Kaunas about the beast, which is living now at the moment somewhere underground. And he is waking and shaking the ground for all of us to wake up and to see who we are and how we can move toward the contemporary capital. And because the mythical beast is the story where every inhabitant can be part of the story creation, Greta will tell you more what are our methods and tools, how we involve those communities, how we gain the trust, and how we create the program all together.
Okay, so hello everybody. And I will talk about community culture program, and I will start from the goal of our program. So it is to enable different communities to cherish the local culture through artistic means and to share it with others. And how do we achieve this? First of all, we follow our vision, which is very simple. We believe that in future Kaunas communities involve various residents of Kaunas and Kaunas district in their activities and recognize the diversity of cultures in various territories of Kaunas and Kaunas district and beyond. So it is inclusivity and diversity. Second, communities build relationships and collaborates by sharing their own culture. So it is connectivity, and communities seeks to express its culture in creative, innovative, artistic ways and develops tailored activities to ensure the inclusion and involvement of all. So it is entrepreneurialism. But let's start from the beginning. Everything started in 2017 when the first training course for community facilitators, or as we call them, Fluxus agents, started. Till now, every year we are working with a group of about 22 people. We already had 3 cohorts of community facilitators, and this year we are preparing for the 4th group, and the training course will start at the end of July. The main topics which we cover during the training course are how to creatively reach the needs of the community, how to develop ideas that respond to local identity and common creative principles, how to plan the overall creative process using practical tools, how to measure the impact of activities in the community, also to develop the ability to work with communities. So we get acquainted with methods and tools that encourage creativity and co-creation, which is co-creation is very important in our program. Also learn and practice community research methods, and also to measure the impact of our community practices. After the course, which usually takes from 4 to 6 months, they are going to their communities, to that place where they're going to work in a specific area. And we developed the scheme, which was done by Keith Knight and Madge Switzerman. And we slightly developed it to our needs and our ways of working with communities, so it calls Craft. So first of all, what those Fluxus agents do, so they come to the area where they're going to work, and they make contacts just to get to know people. They talking with locals, with businesses, educational sector, NGOs, cultural operators who's just living or working there. So they're making some kind of network, and it helps in future to make bigger events or community celebrations, just to bring all of them together. Second phase is a research. As they get to know people and have a network, then they start to deepen their relation, and they start to talk with them about the place, about the historical facts, about stories, the social climate, uniqueness of the place, and start to draw identity of the place through those stories which they heard from people, and as anthropologists they start like a white paper, and then from different stories they make a picture of that area. Then when they get to know people and the identity and of course issues and challenges of the community, they take action. So they make an act, connect and facilitate. So they have an action plan, what to do and what to do with all this information and how to organize some kind of activities to suit community needs. And this is the part where they invite artists also to join this action. So they organizing community gatherings during which they are not only doing some artistic work, they also always measuring if their challenge or issue which they raise with the community is really this one. So they always trying to ask themselves if this is the right question they raise to work with community on. So after the actions and some projects or artistic work done, they have a feedback. So they are talking with people who was involved in the process, and they're asking how they felt, did they like it or did they not, what was okay for them, what was not, did they solve the issue. Of course, we can't see if the issue was solved because 1 year working with community is not enough. But we are gathering our data as well, and we are collecting it, and we will compare it hopefully after 2022 and 2023 years, and we will see did we made with all our activities in city and Kaunas district, did we make any kind of impact on communities. And last phase is teaching, so learn and to teach from the experience. Facilitators are aware of what they did and what did work and what didn't work, so they are sharing this experience with others and also with communities, and they are learning from that. Yes, and because every community is different and we need different tools to work with them, and the most important thing for facilitators that they learn how to make these tools. So from the experience, when they did all this connect, research, action and feedback, they have the set of tools, but it's not what we give them through the course. It is what they built by themselves, because every community is very different, and what suits for one community doesn't suit for other. So they have their tools and they know how to make it. So the most important thing we think that is to learn how to make these tools by yourself according to the place and people with whom you are working. So they learn that through this all experience, and they change something in their action plan, and next year they try with something else or to deepen into that issue or challenge what they're working on the first year. So to sum up, Fluxus agents not only maintain good relationship with community, but also seek to network local communities with representatives of other sectors, encourage and develop joint activities, facilitate creative workshops, mediate between the community and the artist, and ensure co-creative processes. And here you can see the little scheme how everything looks like. So they have a challenge or an issue from community, they have a local context with which they are working on, they have a creative process with creative tools and artists and other ways of working. They try to challenge or to solve that challenge or issue. And then we have a Kaunas2022 program. So every issue we try to somehow to get connections with other programs, which Stefanija talked a bit. So we always try to put everything in our program as well. And every year we change a bit our program, taking into account the experience we gained and the needs at that time. For example, last year we invited in the course to participate only the members from formal community organizations who are working with communities for a long time, but they're usually working in a very traditional way. And we saw that we need a stronger relationship with them, with these organizations, and to find common grounds, how to work with each other till 2022. Also, to achieve our goal, we have 3 programs in our community culture program. which also appeared not at first from 2017 and came along with the practice which we gained working in the field. We noticed ways how to reach more people, how to reach communities, and also what are the main needs of Kaunas and Kaunas district communities. So we established 3 programs. First of it is community initiatives. The goal of this project is to reach formal and non-formal communities that do not yet participate in our program. It is a kind of community development program. We aim to support local small-scale community initiatives, reinforce them with artistic input, publicity, and move them till 2022. So the process is like they apply with their idea, with a small community idea. Then we put their idea into internet for voting. The community members votes for the most communal project, and the most votes gained projects is implemented. So and others who doesn't get those votes are asked just to join our Fluxus laboratories and to take some small part in our program, and also they have a small support from us, mainly communication. We usually sponsor the fee of the artists and creative workshops. And this year, community initiatives started differently because of this coronavirus, but the results were quite incredible. We are really happy about that. We launched 5 online initiatives, one of which grew into international initiative, Europe at Home, and another Culture to the Courtyards project, in which various performers performed in 17 courtyards of multi-apartment buildings, and we reach around 1,000 residents. And it is a huge success and a wonderful way to reach those who cannot participate in culture even during non-quarantine times. So this is some pictures from these activities.
Social distancing.
Social distancing. Yes. The second is Fluxus Labas Courtyards, a project which aims to encourage courtyard residents to take action to change their living environment together with their neighbors, to creatively address emerging infrastructural, social and cultural challenges. The strength of this project is the collaboration between the artist and the community. We ensure that they both would have the same decision-making power for the artistic project. So the process is like, first courtyards apply with their courtyard community and the issue or challenge which they have in their place. Then we invite all these courtyards to one place, and they share their experiences and they present themselves, and they by themselves decide who is going to go on with our program. So we are not making any decisions. They by themselves they decide who is more need more this support. Then we prepare an open call for an artist. We write a description about the courtyard, about its community, about the issue, and then the artist applied to a specific courtyard where his idea or his artwork is more suitable in his mind, and then the community chooses which artists they want to work with, who applied to their courtyard. So it at the end it looks like they chose one another by themselves. Nobody had any kind of forcing them to work with. And then our work is only to work on expectations and collaboration between the two, and to ensure that cooperative process. Some pictures from courtyards. And the last third, our project is community laboratories. Aims to bring together formal and non-formal communities, organizations of various sectors to get involved in community cultural activities in a specific neighborhood. So more than 11 Fluxus laboratories is planned for 2022, as we have 11 districts in Kaunas city, each of which will be responsible for the neighborhood festival lasting from 3 to 5 days in 2022. And they will during those days they will present community projects implemented throughout the preparation years for European Capital of Culture. And micro district mini festivals will aim to present the people who lives there and who creates that district. So to sum up, Fluxus curators covers, includes and involves everything which is about the community in a specific area of the city. And the main event of our program is Fluxus Festival, which is held annually in the beginning of September. And we are planning, and every year we do the same, but in 2022 we are hoping everybody to collaborate and to make a massive community craze and Fluxus style parade and climbing to Parodos hill. And yes, so and to finish up, so our greatest pride in our Fluxus Labas and the engine of success is the process, and our result is a warm relationship, communication, pride of our place and the people with whom we create everything what we do.
So Greta summed up the community part, but for the last 5 minutes, we want to talk what we already reached and what we still have to do. As it's been 2.5 years, we are intensively working the communities. And what happened last year, we had the open call for cultural partnerships. And as on the 2015, when the research was made in the Kaunas city and district, what's happening? Why do we need to be the European capital of culture? A lot of people answered that the community is the quite weak part of the town and the district, and from that, our all program was shaped on the base of the community involvement. And what we are happy and quite, I would say, proud of in this 2.5 year intensive work in the city and district, that in the open call from the cultural partnerships, mostly half of them applied with the projects which are aiming to involve communities or to create the co-creation processes. So we reached, we got 200 applications, and we accepted 64 partners who are going to develop 100 projects. So as Vania before said as well, like in Matera, in Kaunas, it's quite similar, that half of the program is going to be developed by organization Kaunas2022, but another half will be developed by the cultural partners. So it's really important for us that they're following the same values which we were bidding for, to having this title of European Capital of Culture. So after this open call, we have 64 partners who had to start their projects this year, but because of the quarantine situation, as everybody, we face some challenges, I would say, which we are coping at the moment with. But I would say that nothing stopped because the need for people to develop this program was really strong. So now, for these last 4 minutes, I would say I will tell you about a few partner projects and our projects which are aimed to strengthen this community field of cultural organizations. So going to the exact examples, I would like to mention our European Capital of Culture Forum. So this year was the 3rd year when we are having it, and for the last 2 years it was organized in one of the main places in Kaunas, and always the aim of this event was to help for people to network and celebrate collaboration locally and internationally. As speakers were coming from all around the Europe, local people, local cultural sector, the communities had just a chance not only to learn but also to connect with other like-minded people. And in this case, we have these new projects appearing up in the processes. This year, the forum was organized online, and we are quite happy because we could reach in this way even more European people who have a high interest in the cultural field, and it's helped to develop the city's local life. One of our partners who applied last year, the open call, is Magic Carpets, and Magic Carpets is a Creative Europe platform which unites 15 European cultural organizations that create opportunities for emerging artists, especially to embark on those exciting journeys working in the communities. So the artist from one country, for example, from Lithuania, goes to another country to work with the local community in there. And the outcomes sometimes are really, really spectacular when the artist goes and he knows what he's going to do. He knows the project, he knows the tools, and then apparently he goes there and nothing works as he expected. And they reach these challenges, which sometimes become great achievements. When the artist really changed the way of thinking, the way of working the community, he comes back to his own country and then developing those lessons which he gained in another country. He started to work with the community locally in the totally different ways. So Magic Carpets project will finish at 2022, but we really believe that it's going to be a strong start for the new projects based on the gathering of European artists and creating this network, which is really keen on working with communities, and only after working with communities, creating something for communities, because this inclusion moment is really one of the highest goals in this project. Another one is a project who develops the river program, and the whole program doesn't have a really strong shape how the program looks like, because the aim is to involve community creating the project for 2022. As I said, we are working on this confluence way, as we are the city of rivers. Some rivers are gone already, some of them are here, but we totally left it for the past, the life next to the rivers. So this partner, who's called Upines, and I cannot translate because the word in Lithuanian talks as itself as the life next to the river. They invite community to see what they need to do, how they want to remember the city, what do they want to do to the city now at the present, and what do they do in the future by the rivers. So we have from performative arts to the music, to dances, to stargazing, which Greta mentioned before, and people on those events discuss what this river means for them in their personal lives, in the moment what they are doing in their communities. Another project from our partner Impact Foundation from Poland is Audience Development Program, which is into cultural professional field. And this program is shaped and it changed through the quarantine as well. As last year we had 1 year long program when lecturers from Poland were coming to discuss of our local cultural sector, about the challenges they have, about the strategies and other issues they reach in here. And as on the 2015, when the bid was started to be written, we had this, I would call it a small but not small issue, as the cultural sector was really interesting. We have museums, we have theaters, we have all kind of culture representatives in the city, but they were not collaborating together. And this really causes the struggle of moving forward to being contemporary capital. And this program invited them to participate and to discuss the common problems which they have, and to find the common solutions, how we can move forward. And this year we had to start this program on May, but because of quarantine it was frozen for a moment, and from September we will have the online version of this educational program, where the cultural organizations will join us, have individual talks, and then we hope that next spring we will start having monthly meetings again, talking and discussing about the current situations in the field, and how we can share the knowledge and share the know-how which we developed through these quite difficult times in the culture field. Another partner which we are really proud of is Kaunas City Chamber Theatre, which was the member of the Audience Development Program, and they applied with a project which talks about involvement of people with disabilities, and they really put the highlight on that people with disabilities shouldn't create the separate projects. It shouldn't be the festival of people with disabilities. It has to be the pure involvement in the whole processes. So in the upcoming years, they will develop the educational programs, how people with disabilities can be involved in the performing arts sector. And with this program, they will move towards to other cultural organizations to develop the projects together and to create the new shows, integrating fully people with disabilities. Contemporary Elderships is a program of Kaunas2022, which works in the Kaunas district. And why I want to mention this one, because it's quite similar with Fluxus Labas, which works in Kaunas city, but this one is really targeted in Kaunas district, and the reality is a bit different in our country from the city and in the district. I I believe that in most of the countries it's like that. So the structural base of this is that local community, local partners, leading organization, and artists all join together, and they create the common artistic projects, which are aiming to make the traditional ways of events and traditional shows become more contemporary, more new, more important, and more interesting for especially young people living in Kaunas district. So you can see one of the shows we had last year, which was called Radio Angels. So in small village, we had the contemporary circus artist working the local community, and they created the performance walking through the whole village, walking through the abandoned buildings and the parks, creating this as an angel city. So everybody became an angel in that town. And from that, those people really started to want cultural action in the village. They don't need to come to city so often for that. They believe that they can create this value in their own place. And of course, how without quarantine for the end? So as quite a cherry on the cake, we had the 23rd of May when we have Kaunas' birthday, and every year it's a really huge festivities in the city, and we couldn't do that this year. And what happened that this event was organized in 3 weeks, which we said that it was quite crazy. I mean, okay, that was work day and the night, but the beautiful outcome of that cultural organizations inspired by Culture to the Courtyards, which Greta mentioned before, decided to create this celebration for the city altogether. So 24 cultural organizations joined and said that they want to make performances for the communities, in the communities, together with them. In this process, more than 40 communities joined, giving electricity, giving tea, giving a smile, and welcoming the artists to their homes, their courtyards, and creating this one beautiful celebration, which was created by people all together, by the need to be together and to have the city as one common community. So we want to thank you and to say that, you know, the past is the past. The present we are living now is quite challenging and gives for all of us thoughts what we can do differently. But the future is always promising, and it's really important not to forget to dream.
Yeah, thank you very much. And now we know how we choose Kaunas for these events, because we are really inspired by your program and how you really imagine the role of the community in this kind of European capital process. So we have the space for a little bit of discussion. So I don't know if Carlo have a question. I have a question, but Carlo first.
Okay. I think it's quite interesting, like contextualize what is going on right now in Europe in general, in the world, about culture. And I think European capital of culture, there are huge infrastructure, can have a power of advocacy, I would like to say, you know, about the value of culture and about what's going on in not only in Kaunas, but before Matera. And so, I mean, my question is, or I would like to know how, in your opinion, can we use this advocacy power that you have in order to move, you know, the attention about that and empower even more what's going on about art and culture in Europe for the COVID situation?
Okay, thank you, Carla. So in this quarantine time, we saw that everybody reaches these huge challenges in the field. And what Greta mentioned before, what happened with those small initiatives by the communities, which we're doing in the local field, we had the new, we had the new rules developed in the country, as at the moment a lot of finances are really turned back to the local community and to the local artists. But one of the main goals is to create the new projects working together with European artists. And the project which Greta as well mentioned, that it went to the European level, it raised the awareness of the need for support for the local artists. And that European Cultural Foundation really started the new program since the beginning of March, giving the small funds. Yeah. So all those money were in the beginning, for the beginning of the year, they were targeted for the Tandem project for the European Capital of Cultures. But immediately when the quarantine started, it was changed and switched into the supporting the needs which actually appeared at the moment in the countries.
Yeah, and we know that in these, for example, in Rijeka, we have this same problem, but in the year of Capital of Culture. So they really were in trouble and changed the budget. Really, the budget was really reduced, and this is part of course, of the problem. But thinking about future, my question is. Here from Matera, we are building a network from the artists and the organization that has been involved in Capital of Culture, and we really believe that once Capital of Culture arrive in your organization or your life of artists, really change your perspective of what your work is in local level, but in European dimension. So, what do you think related to the, for example, the forum that you has been part of, no? So the European Capital of Culture Forum. As in your opinion, is something that, for example, your local artist, your organization can be, for them, can be useful, something like that, so to be connected to other organizations and artists and communities too, that has been involved in other Capital of Culture. What do you think about this idea, the European network of the artisan organization of the ECOC?
So I would say, when Vania, you were talking, it feels like you're the team member of Kaunas2022, because we always said that, you know, when we start doing something in here, we always have this main phrase which we say, like, we start doing projects at the moment now, but Kaunas2022 will finish, and what's then? And in this case, we see that the collaboration is the most powerful tool. As you know, we now have this additional funding for the projects, but that doesn't mean that that funding will stay in the future. So now is the right moment to create the more stronger organizations, the NGOs, who will gain the trustability in the European level. It's really the time to collaborate with other European artists and organizations. And in this way, this is the only way how they will find the sponsorship, how we will find the social entrepreneurialism ways, which Greta as well mentioned. That's why we really occur in this topic of being aware of business, really having collaborations not only with artists, but with people from the fields of technology, with people from the fields of business. And in this way, this is the only way how we can continue having a real legacy of the chance of being European Capital of Culture.
Yes, so we really have to help each other, and we are ready for it. Okay, so I think there are no other question in a Facebook live. So thank you very much to spend this time with us, and really thank you for your presentation. I hope really we can share all the tools. I'm really personally interested in all the tools you are developing with your communities, and of course we will share soon the result of the impact of the Silent City. So keep in touch, and good luck to all the European Capital of Culture, especially for the future ones.
Good luck.
Bye,
for
thank
you. Best wishes to Matera. We are really sending warm wishes, and let's keep this online bridge.
Yes. Okay. Thank you to Daniele that had helped us to this streaming live and boarding pass. I will switch in Italian to have the next per dirvi del prossimo appuntamento 2 luglio con Invasioni Creative. Parleremo di teatri che investono in progetti con le comunità, sempre su tutti i nostri canali, Invasioni Creative, Orchestra Senzaspine e Compagnia Teatrale L'Albero. Grazie, thank you very much. Bye.
Ciao.